Hello and welcome to the Under Center podcast. Welcoming to AFI Weekly. I've been told to say that by Dara, who I was under very strict instructions not to mess that up, so I'm glad I got that in off the bat. My name's Phil Malloy. I'm going to be hosting today. I am joined, of course, by the Rhinos' sexiest supermodel, Dara Marr.
That's Alex, he's talking to you. Alex, he's talking to you. You're wearing red. I'm not.
I'm not the sexiest model. I don't even have my own fucking place in the opening credits there.
Look at the way the sun is hitting that face. Look at the way the sun is hitting that face. Of course you are. Look at that.
For our audio listeners, that second voice is, of course, Harp's majority share owner, Alex Sims, also of the Loud Mavericks in his part-time. And the final man on the crew today, Rian Malloy, the AFI's most sought-after undrafted free agent.
Yeah, to be honest, my phone has been pretty quiet recently. I'm not sure why. Maybe there's some sort of issue there, but yeah.
Probably just ran out of batteries.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Well, I heard the coverage up there where you live is shite anyway, so that's probably why.
It is. It's going towards fucking Dundalk, so it's pretty rough.
It's better in Dundalk. They have a little, their own little section, a booster. Anyway, guys, we have another week of AFI action in the books. A short week, only 2 games. We managed to talk significantly about only 2 games last week. It took us ages to get through, so we're going to try and move things along a little bit. Dara, I think we're going to start off with the Rhinos. I know you've got the Premier Division graphics up for me. Thank you very much. And we might as well jump into it. I'm going to give our unsolicited information off the bat. Obviously, low-scoring affair, 7-0. It took till the fourth quarter for the Rhinos to get going. Now, I chatted to you a little bit off air just to see, is that kind of how the game played out? Was it a little bit like the Crusaders or what way it felt? And you said, in fairness, the Rhinos moved the ball well. Giants probably did okay on defense. They stood where they needed to. But ultimately, you managed to get a score at the end. A very important win, I think, for the Rhinos. And I think from our neutral point of view, a pretty good showing for the Giants that suggests they probably aren't as far down the pecking order as everyone kind of had been suggesting as the seasons go on. And they're starting now to come into their tough section of their schedule. And if they can continue to put in scores like this or performances like this together, I think they have a chance. But let's start on the Rhinos side of things. Give us your synopsis and maybe any insights you had, obviously captain for the game. How did you feel the team performed and what were your takeaways from the game?
Yeah, it's always tough to go up to Causeway. Especially for the majority of the lads that have not played there before. It's all new to them. We had worked on a few things in training over the last couple of weeks and felt like that was going to help us win this game, both on defense and on offense. And just with the scoreline, you can see, obviously, on the defensive side of things, very, very happy with how the defense played, keeping them to 0 points. We felt that our defense actually dominated that game for the most part. I think I'd have to look back at the tape, but I think it was only about 3, maybe 4 first downs in total that we gave away to the Giants all game. So we were able to really nullify the run, and our DBs in the backfield were able to look after their receivers. On the offensive side of things, yeah, it took a little while to get going. It's a first quarter we didn't really move the ball well. Second quarter we started to, and then I think halftime came at the wrong time for us. But I think in total we had about 5 visits to the red zone. One of them obviously resulted in a touchdown. The other 4 we kind of just struggled to punch it in. One of those 4 that we failed to score, it was with a field goal try as well that was unsuccessful. Again, sort of things we kind of got in our own way a bit. I remember the very first drive we had in the second half was we had the ball to start the second half, I should say, and we were driving up the field with a nice combination of run and pass. Eaton was fantastic with his play calling at the line, it's noting the danger and able to change it up. But there was at one stage where I think we were at their, I want to say we were at their 35. And then we at first and 10 at their 35, two holding penalties back to back put us first and 30. And at that stage, you're just so far behind the sticks. It's almost impossible to try and get that first down back. So, you know, it's things like that, stupid penalties here and there, maybe mistakes here and there were costing us. Where I think if we were a little more disciplined, I feel that there were scores there for us. Again, the Giants defense though did their part too. It wasn't as if they didn't stop us. They defended hard. They defended quite well. They were flying around after the ball and making some really good tackles as well. I felt though, as the third quarter finished, coming into the fourth quarter, we were really, I think, especially in the second half, things were starting to click properly. And I feel that the time was against us a little bit in terms of when we did score. I felt that once we had that sort of, you know, monkey off our back to finally score a touchdown since week one, the score would have came a lot more easier if we had more time in the game. Just at the time that we scored, there was only, I think, 2.5 minutes left, and then the Giants had to obviously try and chase the game. Once they went for it on fourth down, weren't able to get it. I should say on the third down play beforehand, we got a crucial sack to put them well behind the sticks as well, to make it really, really tough to convert that fourth down. And then obviously just need it out at the end of the game. We would obviously, you know, 7-0 in the sport you want to win. You obviously want to score as many points as you can. But for me, the important thing was to get that win. We've lost 2 games in a row. We've said it as well. Those first 3 games were their hardest stretch. And this is where now kind of, you know, the second chapter of our season, you could say, starts with the win here. We go back to training this week. We have the Jets the following week. You know, hopefully we go up to Antrim to play the Jets. And hopefully we can build on what we did here. The defense can continue to remain strong. The offense now that we've had a good couple of drives again, that we can end up finishing these drives with points and not end up playing behind the sticks and trying to, you know, not just beat the other team, but beat ourselves. But again, like I said, a lot of positives to take out of the game. Things obviously to work on, but all in all, great to get back on track to 2-2, get the win. Now, like I said, we move on to the next few games, which are games that, you know, no disrespect to the teams that we're facing, that we would expect to win. We should expect to win if we want to be serious about making playoffs. But like I said, a good day all around, and my first time leaving Lime Park with a win in the back pocket is always a nice feeling as well.
Yeah, Rian, I think Dara kind of struck on it there. I think both teams will have things they can take away from. I think the Giants obviously making the step up. Rhinos a stalwart in Division 1. It was going to be important for them to run this game close from a kind of a moral standpoint, or to prove the level that they're now at. I think that the Rhinos, as Dara said, I think they can take a lot away. That Giants offense has improved year on year. We saw that, and certainly the addition of Nate Wilson at quarterback is a huge advantage. We've already talked at length in weeks gone by about how important it is to get somebody under center. I think the Giants are straight back in now against the Razorbacks, who, despite a good start, have faltered a little bit in the weeks gone by. How important will it be now for the Giants to try and get a victory against the Razorbacks and prove that they maintain themselves? There's what I'm looking at, maybe 6 teams there within a win of each other, from second down to the Vipers in, what's that, 8th. So a really compacted middle zone. How important will this next game be for the Giants?
Well, that'd be absolutely huge. I think if they're looking to kind of cement themselves as a solid D1 team, this is almost a must-win for them. We'll get onto the Razorbacks later on in the show, and we cover the game coming up. But yeah, it's going to be a big game. Fair play to both sides in this one, to be fair. I think Dara's done a good job covering the X's and O's, but there's positives to be taken from both teams here. Obviously, the Giants keeping it within a score against, as you said, a D1 stalwart. Very props to them for that. But also, as we all know here, it is tough to go up to Lime Park. That pitch is built on the side of a hill. The wind is always blowing up there. It is a bit of a fortress for that Giants team. So anytime you can come away from a W from Lime Park, it's always a bonus.
And where would you rather be at the moment? We're 4 games in, halfway through. You've got Eagles, Crusaders, and Rhinos all on 4 points. You're a big free agent, as you have there in your banner. Who are you signing for? Who do you think's got the best shot of playing playoff football this season? Win what would essentially be the last playoff position as it stands right now, that 4th playoff position?
It's a really difficult decision. I would probably put the Giants below that kind of other 3 there. So Crusaders, Rhinos, Eagles. For me, just with the way the results have gone in the past, sorry to say it, Dara, but I think the Crusaders are the most polished of that bunch of 3 teams. So that's where I'd be going, mind you. I would not want to commute out there.
Alex, you guys have a game coming up this weekend, so we'll move on and chat to you a little bit more in terms of Division 1 as we go into those games. But I want to get your opinion.
I did just want to point out that despite the Giants losing, they're still undefeated according to our graphics. So that's a good victory for them.
It wouldn't be an Under Center podcast week if Dara didn't forget to count something.
Yeah.
I love how we give him so much stick and yet he does all the work. So it's not like we could definitely give him a hand by saying, "Don't worry, Dara, I'll make the graphics this week."
He won this week, so we have to take him down a peg. Otherwise,
he's got to make it. He's got to make it look a bit better. But I don't know if you guys were probably training, Alex. I don't know if you got a chance to go anywhere near this Belfast derby that was on in the Premier Division this week. Did you see anything of it?
A few of our lads went up, so I didn't see it myself, but I've chatted to them and heard all about it. Yeah, seems like it was a cracking game.
Yeah, so to tee it up a little bit before we get your insight on it, the Knights hosted the Trojans this weekend in the Battle of Belfast. Knights got off to a hot start at 1 point, 2 full scores clear. The Trojans immediately answered with a kick return touchdown that proved to be crucial. They did manage to get the ball back inside 2 minutes, drive the ball down with a couple of huge plays, and finally punch it in and crucially convert the 2-point conversion that they missed the previous week against the Panthers. It leaves the middle of the Premier Division very congested. Alex, I think the main thing that stands out to me is another great Knights performance that could have been a little bit better with a tiny bit more composure, maybe.
Yeah, no, you're right. It could have been. It's a fortnight of what ifs for the Knights that could have beaten the Rebels, and they could have so easily beaten the Trojans that they just managed to hold on. But I think that's probably an experience thing. Like, I know the Knights they have an experienced side, but the man leading the offense is. He's not quite a rookie, but he's a young guy. It's his first year fully leading the team. So I think maybe you could point to inexperience there, just like not being able to see it out. I didn't see it, personally, so I don't know if don't know what they could have done more there. But maybe it's an inexperience thing that they just can't quite salt away these victories. But they still put up admirable performances. They're still in a position now when you're looking at it. It's probably 3 goes into 1 really. That Trojans, Admirals, Knights triangle there. It does look at this point like they're all duking it out for that last spot. Now they all have a tie, so it kind of takes that off the board. The Trojans and Knights neither of them have a head-to-head victory over each other. And I think the Knights are playing the Admirals later in the season. So it really sets up for a really close run in there for that last spot. Assuming UCD, Panthers and Rebels can probably put a bit more of a hold on their spots. So really sets
Trojans
up.
also have to play the Admirals for a second time too. So
Oh, did they? Up in
Yeah.
Belfast, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I mean that just makes the run in like super interesting, and it's been a really good SBC season so far as well. I think like that can get lost in the little bits of talking about reshuffles and everything. It has been a really high quality season from everyone, and I'm just really looking forward to the run-in now. The last 50% of the season to go now for most teams, so really looking forward to seeing how it all shapes out in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Dara, I'm going to play the same game I played with Rian in that congested midfield down in Division 1. Right now, if you were to make the step over, who would your money be on? The Trojans, the Admirals, or the Knights to make that final playoff spot? And I think, in fairness, I believe there's permutations where every team in the division could theoretically make that final playoff spot, but let's narrow it down to just those three options for now. So Trojans, Admirals, or Knights, where would you be leaning?
That's a tough one. It's tough to back against the Trojans, although we did last week by picking the Knights, and it almost worked out. The Admirals are, despite their second half issues that they're having at the moment, they are still playing very, very well. And I hear a certain quarterback has been playing flag football the last little while, so he could be making a comeback soon. And then, the Trojans, they've had the two games at the start of the season where, they went down south. They got two very good victories, followed it up with, two defeats, a disappointing one, down in Dublin against the Rebels, and then obviously that sort of, mud bowl against your Panthers, Fionn, and then culminating with this draw. I think because the Knights have two games to come up against the Vikings left in their schedule, I would back the Vikings at the moment, from everything that I've seen so far. But I mentioned about the second half issues of the Admirals. The Knights are going to have to start sorting out their fourth quarter issues. They had a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter last weekend against the Trojans. They had a lead in the fourth quarter the previous week against the Rebels. They had a fourth quarter lead, a sizable fourth quarter lead in Mullingar against the Minotaurs, and they almost threw that away as well. So, like you were saying, Alex, with the young QB, game management is going to have to come into this a little more now in the next few weeks. Maybe take the ball out of Liam Moore's hands a little bit if it is tight in the fourth quarter and you need to run down the clock a little bit. Let your running backs run with the ball. They're big lads. They're hard to take down. You got a big line there. Use them. So I would, if I have to pick right now, I would go with the Knights to sneak that fourth spot. Mostly just because of the schedule that they have left to play.
Rian, would you go along?
All three teams in that chasing pack, interestingly, the Trojans, Admirals, Knights, they're all heralded by young, QBs, all in their second year. So it's just an interesting sort of comparison to take. It's probably why they're so close. They're all of a similar experience there, and just sort of, it'd be very interesting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, they do all run the ball very well, which I think is going to be important. And Rian, as Dara said, it's going to be hugely important to mix that in. You want to give your offense chances to score, and especially when you go up those 2 scores. Okay, special teams brought it back to 1 score, so maybe you can kind of take that off a little bit. But how important is it as a quarterback to be able to get into that game management mode, take a few points? I know from some of the updates we were getting with a lot of fans helping us out on the sidelines that were at the game. They got the ball back kind of at the start of the 2-minute drill. They were on the halfway line. I believe it was 3rd and 6. And then by the end, the Trojans had a chance to punch it in right at the end. So pretty good field position. And yet the Trojans managed to bang it in. Do you think it's more important for the offense to be able to keep the ball, or for the defense to be able to stiffen up right there at the end, where really the bend part is a little bit more difficult to execute.
As an offensive player, I'm always going to tend to put the onus on the offense to get the job done. And like you said yourself, running the football is a big part of that. You can shorten the game significantly by just having a good running game down there in the fourth quarter. Now, obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of the game. I wasn't there. I obviously kept up to date on the score. But if it is a case that the Knights were still slinging the ball around in the fourth quarter, they got to reel that back in. Make sure they are running the football in the fourth quarter and try and just get first downs. You don't need to be worrying about scoring in these drives. It's just make the game shorter for the opposition. Put more and more pressure on the opposition offense because, as we know, the Trojans love to run that football. Maybe are not so adept passing the football, and when you give them no time on the clock, they're going to have to go through the air. So, yeah, I really feel like, the offense needs to kind of drive down there, have the responsibility, and just get the job done.
Well, it was a short slate of games we had last week, so we look forward now to week 9. We're going to stay in the Premier Division at the moment. Only one game on the slate, and it's a Saturday game. It's going to be the Westmeath Minotaurs hosting the South Dublin Panthers. Both teams, I think, eager for a win here. Minotaurs, it would completely turn their season around, get them off the bottom of the division. With a win, it would leapfrog the Vikings, especially with them not playing this week. And then, of course, the Panthers going maybe historically 4-0, maybe not historically 4-0, depends which history book you read, but certainly haven't gone 5-0 before. So, and a chance to go 2-0 against the Minotaurs, which I think it's fair to say, given the schedule that they have left on the final 4 games, it's going to be an important one to put in the bank and be able to play maybe a little bit more freely, a little bit more loosely against the 4 big hitters to finish up the season. I'm not going to go too much into that unless you guys want to kind of ask questions back again. But Rian, how do you see this game unfolding? What are the keys going to be? Let's start on the Minotaurs' point of view. What are the keys going to be to try and compete? Heavy loss, first game of the season against the Panthers. 3 games have gone since then, or 2, sorry, for the Minotaurs. What can they do to improve the outcome this week?
I think the game plan should be what everybody's game plan should be versus the Panthers, and that is to contain Finn Kearns. And that's both passing the football and running the football. I was down there at the game, week 1, Minotaurs and Panthers, and Finn Kearns had a hell of a game. He was throwing the ball deep for multiple touchdowns. He had a couple of rushing touchdowns himself in that game, including one exceptional 85-yard touchdown run. They got to contain him. They got to get that edge set very, very well against this Panthers team, because we know that they can run the ball very well and they have multiple different options in that backfield capable of hurting them. So that's my simple game plan. Whether it's going to be effective enough, I don't know. But yeah, contain Finn Kearns and stop him passing all over you.
Which Finn Kearns
is
the quarterback
Finn
or
Kearns
the wide
play?
receiver Finn Kearns?
Sorry, What?
Are you talking about the Finn Kearns playing wide receiver or the Finn Kearns playing quarterback?
I'm talking about the Finn Kearns playing quarterback. You're saying this with a lot of innuendo, and I have no fucking clue what's going on.
And there's, I think, starting
that you've been a free agent too long, Rian.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Why don't you
see that smirk by Alex in the corner? He knows. Calls
himself a Panthers fan, doesn't even know his QB.
Yeah, he's just trying to hold it in, Bjorn. That's all he is. He doesn't want to get in trouble.
Get in trouble? I don't understand. I obviously do know what Dara's referring to. He's implying that Matty O'Mara is coming back from his holidays to play back for the Panthers again. I can confirm that he was in Tala on the weekend, but despite Dara's conspiracy theories, that was just to do the Wolfhounds flag. They had the Wolfhounds flag scrimmage or training session down in Tala beside the Panthers training session. So there was an official Matty O'Mara sighting, but I think Dara might be reading several chapters into that one little sighting. And Alex,
the only reason why he won't play this week is because there's a tournament, a flag tournament on. But in a couple of weeks' time, who's your next game against after this? Is it UCD?
It's the Rebels. Yeah, it's the Rebels. We go Rebels, Admirals, UCD to finish.
Let's just wait and see.
Interesting. Alex, have you got the same source or a different source to Dara, or is it just you pair just talking to each other on the phone?
Oh no, it's probably a similar source. Look, he was spotted in Tala. As long as he wasn't playing for Shamrock Rovers, I don't really care. So, yeah.
Is he not playing out in Italy or something at the moment? Would he not be essentially a Baffa banger if he came in?
Seville. He was in Seville. Yeah.
Oh.
Has to get those 2 games in before the playoffs. You know,
he was a keen spectator at the Trojans.
If he's played any game in any IFAF tournament that's not AFI, he is not eligible to play in the AFI.
There you go, reading the rules analyst. So that put that on ahead, Dara.
Oh,
it's the rumor mill. It's the AFI rumor mill. You know what? If
we got to keep things interesting.
Those pages have gone. There used a couple of years ago. There used to be an AFI rumor mills page, but it seems to have dropped off a little bit now. Anyway, before we close up,
also, can we mention one thing? Actually, one important aspect of this game that we haven't touched on yet.
It's going to be huge.
Massive. Minotaurs are showcasing new jerseys this weekend.
They are. Yeah. Hopefully it's not a mud bowl. They can get all their nice pictures. I thought you were going to announce that the Panthers are returning Fionn Malloy on defense with the tooth finally fixed. And the most embarrassing non-football injury has finally been cleared and I'm able to play again. It's
too many Coca-Colas as a child.
Don't worry.
Explaining to people I can't play because of my tooth. But anyway,
Drip.
Don't worry, Fionn. You'll get your reps on special teams. Don't worry.
Exactly.
Drip could be a factor in this game. I mean, like we all know what Joe Kennan's like. Like he will play better in New Jersey. It's like there's no question. You know,
you play good, huh?
Yeah. That's it. And it is a really important game for the Minotaurs. Like, I mean, they're bottom of the table, but they've only played 3. Like, they've played the least games in the entire division. They've got a tough slog. I think they've played in their last 5 games, they've played the top 4 as it stands, and also the Vikings, which I think they play after this one. So they would love to steal one now before playing the Vikings to kind of give themselves a leg up in that department. So I think that with the New Jerseys as well, they will be going all out for this one. They've played the Panthers once before. Maybe they've picked up a few ideas on how they can try and stop them. You know, nobody's succeeded so far this season, but you know, I think the Minotaurs will keep this closer than some people will be expecting.
Well, look, from a defensive point of view, obviously a great game. In the first game, only 1 touchdown conceded, but I think it's fair to say there was a little bit of a maybe criticism or eyebrows raised over the defensive performance against the Knights, at least at that point in the season. Maybe a little bit of surprise to see how many points the Knights put up. But I think from our biased point of view, we felt like we've improved week on week, going from UL into the Trojans, obviously. And so we're looking to kind of keep that momentum going, especially going. We're under no illusions that the big 3 games are the last 3 games. So I think that might make things difficult for the Minotaurs, especially because the 5-0, it'd be nice, but really we're looking to go 2-0 against the Minotaurs. That's more important to us. So trying to keep things level and keep things focused. And Coach O'Sullivan does a great job with that. So we're going to try and just be composed, play the game that we think we can play and improve on last week. Just build step by step as you kind of have to do. I don't know if we don't seem to be getting any Bill Belichick comments rolling in today. I know I'm getting a bit of a reputation for speaking a lot and saying nothing. But anyway, I think we've spoken enough on this game. Why don't we go around? Alex, I'll start with you. Minotaurs versus Panthers. What's your prediction? And give us a score if you have one.
Yeah, I'm going to say Panthers win it, but closer than people expect. So I'm going to say, 28-21. Touchdown game.
It's going to be tough because the Panthers are missing their starting quarterback due to a flag tournament. So Finn Kern's going to have to deputize for this game. But I still think he'll play well enough. Look, listen, Ray and I was with you there on that day. We saw how well the Panthers did against that Minotaurs defense. They didn't have an answer for Finn or either the running backs. And especially with Sean playing so well too, I can't see anything but a Panthers win. This game's not the important one for the Minotaurs. It's next week against the Vikings. That's the game. Just put in a performance in this one. Got to score more than your first week. So I'm going to say, and they've had a long break too, Minotaurs. It's a very, very long break. I'm going to go Panthers. Panthers win. I'm going to say 30-16.
And Rain wrap us up.
Yep, the Panthers love a 33-something scoreline, so I'm going with 33-8.
Okay, nice and clean. Well, there's only one game on the slate for the Premier Division this week, but there is a bumper slate of games for Division 1. We're going to start off at the top of the list, Cowboys versus Crusaders. And for me, an important one for the Crusaders, a little bit up and down. They're going to have to prove themselves against the best team in the division. And I think they'll be pretty hot after their win against the Mavericks. They'll be pretty happy. Alex, how do you see this game going? And it could ultimately have a pretty big impact on the playoff picture, if not for the Cowboys, certainly for the Crusaders.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good one, I think. Probably the most important thing to note is that I think the Cowboys are also going to be without their starting quarterback. Like some teams this week, and he's also playing the flag tournament. So we will be seeing someone else under center for the Cowboys, which will be odd. We're all used to Peter playing, but it will be a chance. There's no doubt that Cowboys offense is more than one man. So we'll see who comes in under center. They've still got Andrew Herron there in the backfield. The likes of Sunshine at wide receiver and a good offensive line. I mean, we didn't get a sack at all against them when we played them. So at least whoever's under center taking snaps, he's probably going to be kept pretty clean. It's a good Cowboys offensive line. So you get time back there, and we've seen, players can make it work. So I still think that they've got a lot in them, and their defense has been pretty good as well this season. So I think the Cowboys have still got a lot there, even missing Peter. But the Crusaders, on the other hand, yeah, they'll be looking when they'll be desperate. Like after a 1 point loss, you still just be thinking of all the moments in the game. I mean, even we lost against the Cowboys by 4, you're just thinking of how every single moment then it could have changed the outcome. So the Crusaders will be itching to get back into winning ways. So they'll definitely, and the Crusaders aren't afraid of anyone. They'll be looking for a fight. So should make for a cracking game, I'd say.
Yeah, Dara, you've been intimate with both of these teams this season.
That's a word.
Such a poor choice of words.
Do you?
Dara is always friendly in the shower, to be fair to him.
Well, he is in the trenches after all. Who knows? There's dark arts that go on in there. But anyway, the gist or the thrust of my question was from that intimacy.
Should I have an explicit label now on this?
How do you go about beating the Cowboys, and will the Crusaders' run game be a vital ingredient in terms of pulling out a victory that so far none of the rest of the division have been able to pull over the Cowboys?
Alex, contain yourself first of all. Oh, you're asking me how to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Even though we lost, and we lost well to them. That's the thing. Nobody has an answer to beat the Cowboys because no one's beaten the Cowboys this year. The closest.
I can tell you how to tie with them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Alex knows exactly how to tie. The Crusaders have made a great first step in beating the Cowboys because Peter's not going to be there. They got the best week to play the Cowboys. Again, though, mirroring on what Alex said, they're not just one team. Their O-line's fantastic. I think they are going to miss also one of their wide receivers, Neil Maxwell. I think he's the Wolfhound center for flag 2, so I think he might be missing in that game. Their defense is really, really good as well. And the Crusaders have a little bit to prove because, they had the game. We mentioned it last week about losing by a point, but being up that score, being fourth and goal from the 3-yard line and trying to punch it in. And I know we had the talk about, maybe they don't have a kicker to do it. Train the kicker. Train someone to kick. It's all you need to do. You were at extra point territory there for a kick. You're saying you can't train someone to do that. And it's not, I don't want to pick on the Crusaders because there's multiple instances of other teams doing that this year. Although I do find it quite ironic for a country in here that is sending a load of players over to the NFL to kick.
NFL kickers.
Yeah, our top teams don't kick the football in this league.
Because down to junior C level, they will not let fucking GA players play American football.
But it's still crazy. But anyway,
it's easy to say. You play for the Rhinos. It's easy for you to make kicks. You just have someone wheel their child behind the goals.
Hold them up.
It's not as easy for everyone else, Dara.
Why do you think he missed that field goal? There was no child there.
Just an old lad, and he's like, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
But no, look, but seriously, yeah. Although Peter's not playing and Neil, if he's not playing as well, I still cannot back the Cowboys to not win this game.
That was so many negatives. I don't know where we.
It was, wasn't it? It was. I actually am not sure what I meant there in the end. Anyway, I'm going to say I'm still going to back the Cowboys until I've seen anything different. I can't.
Yeah, I think as other games go on, so you've got the Eagles are going to be playing the Jets this week. The Giants are going to be playing the Razorbacks. As we said, they've found themselves in this mix. And then, of course, the Mavericks currently at the top with the Giants in this kind of 5-team grouping. They're also going to be playing this weekend. So for all of these teams, I think a loss dramatically changes the outlook. And now, before we were kind of saying, oh, well, it's only 2 games gone. It's only 3 games long. There's only 8 games in the season, right? So now all of a sudden we flip around to, well, there's only 3 games left. You start dropping games now, it's very hard to close little gaps. And as we said, it's everyone almost plays everybody else. So there's a little bit of parity in schedule, but people have had hard runs at the start and easy runs at the end and vice versa. So it's going to be very interesting to see if the Crusaders can get any type of result out of this game.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, right now, nothing is set in that AFI Division 1 table. I mean, you could argue the Cowboys are probably definitely on their way to the playoffs, but everything else beyond that is up in the air. So it is a testament to that division that there is so much going on at the moment. We will probably, as weeks go on, probably see a split happen. But yeah, it's a great week that we're going to see a lot of mixing up on that table, and we'll kind of probably get a better picture of where everybody stands after this weekend.
Well, look, we'll probably go through game by game. So why don't you give me your prediction for this Cowboys-Crusaders game? We'll go around the table.
I am going to predict a little bit of an upset. I'm going to go with the Crusaders. I'm going to say they run the ball very well, shorten the game, low scoring, 14-13. No, sorry, they don't kick. 16.
Yeah, Dara, before you give your, I believe there's a comment from the Insta Live we should address before you give your.
Yeah, Connor Hogan said something interesting here on Instagram Live. Wasn't Crusaders QB, I'm guessing Jordan, ejected after the Eagles game finished? Now, I cannot confirm or deny it. That definitely happened. This is the first I'm hearing about it. But if that's true, then that means he wouldn't be available for this game either.
Yeah, very interesting.
Just for the first half, I believe.
I thought it's a full game, not just a half.
If it came after the final whistle.
Yeah. It would be a full game, wouldn't it?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, if it is one of those things, if there's like 10 seconds on the clock, then it's only half a game. But if there's no seconds, I imagine it might be a half game. But again, please, if there's anybody listening that can confirm or indeed deny this accusation, we don't want to stand over it, but we want to bring that out there and see if anyone has any further information. So, Dara, building that into your projection, Reen didn't have that luxury. What way are you going to go on this game?
Reen, you got banged on that one.
And we're not going to let him change it either, even.
No, I said it previewing the game. I'm not backing against the Cowboys until I've seen something different. So I'm going to continue that. Whether or not Jordan is available for the game, I'm still going to pick the Cowboys. And
Alex, how are you going to lean on this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go Cowboys as well. I don't think it's going to be a blowout scoreline by any imagination or any stretch of imagination. I think it'll be 22-16 as neither team kicks.
Next up on our slate of games is the Eagles versus the Jets. Jets, I said last week, I've been impressed. They've managed to stabilize the numbers a little bit. It's still quite low, and obviously we're still thinking about that fella. I don't remember his name, who got injured at the start of the game last week. Pretty severe. Nobody likes to see that, but numbers are certainly an issue when you're in a situation like the Jets. I think at the moment they're playing for pride. They're doing well. They've been scoring points. We know how hard it is to do that on such a limited team. And look, the last quarter of every game is going to be difficult. The gauntlet for them doesn't get any easier. Eagles team fresh off the back against a good win, a last-minute win last week against the Crusaders, or in their previous game against the Crusaders. So, Alex, what are the big takeaways, I guess, for the Jets in this game? And Dara will move on and talk about the Eagles with yourself.
I mean, for the Jets, it's show up, put in a good game for 4 quarters and, see what you can do on the field. Like it's as simple as that. They'll want to continue. They've scored 50 points in the last 2 games. They'll want to keep up their scoring streak. And, at some point they may spring an upset. As long as you can keep yourself scoring, there is always the chance that you can get some stops on the other end and you can pull out a victory. So, just want to keep believing, and you can, any given Sunday and all that.
Yeah, Dara, on the flip side of that is obviously the Eagles coming in they'll be elated after their last-minute victory against the Crusaders. They need to keep rolling. They've started to score well on offense against a tough defense in the Crusaders, as you know. The Jets, I think it'll be important for them just to make sure that this isn't a banana peel game for them and that they can really keep themselves in contention. At the moment, we have them in that 4th seed. A victory goes a long way to seal that up, even though both teams ahead of them, 2 and 3 seeds, are also playing. So maybe not a chance to move up the rankings, as depending on how the results go, but certainly to maintain themselves in that race.
Yeah, it could be a lot of moving this weekend with all the teams playing, especially like Crusaders, Eagles, Mavericks, Giants, Vipers, Razorbacks, Jets, everyone actually playing this weekend bar the Rhinos. So who knows where everyone's going to be by the end of it. It's like for the Eagles, their sort of tough run to start the season is over now. They have got some favorable games coming up that I think they would fancy themselves in. Like this weekend, they have the Jets, then they have the Vipers, then they have their toughest game of the season against the Rhinos, and then they have the Giants to finish off the year too. So, going 2-2 in those first 4 games is absolutely fantastic, especially coming into D1 from D2 last year. Whether or not you make the argument that they were actually a D2 team, doesn't matter. Like this one, the Jets are going to head down. Hopefully, they can get some decent numbers to go down. Hopefully, maybe they're the beneficiaries of another team that's having a few player issues. Maybe they can get a few more down from that. But yeah, just I think for the Eagles, they can't get complacent. Put your head down, get to work. Continue to play good offense, continue to play hard defense, and just get through these games and then see where you are at the end of them. And if it is one of those top 4 spots, absolutely fantastic. If it's not, and you're one of the high seeds in the Shield, you should be extremely happy. These next 4 games are free hits, effectively. You know, the goal this year, I'm sure, wasn't to make top 4. If they do, it's a bonus. I'm sure the goal this year is to get a decent seeding in the Shield and possibly go on to win it. So to be where they are right now is absolutely fantastic. Even with the 2 defeats, and you might have been concerned after that, but a fantastic win there last time, and now with this favorable run, you know, who knows where they could be. They could end up in a position where the Giants are now.
Yeah, Rain, just wrap it up, summarize it. If you have any thoughts, let us know, and then get into your predictions and tell us how you see this going.
Yeah, no, I think this one needs to be so for the Jets, it's just going to be a little victories game, get points on the board, blah, blah, blah. For the Eagles, it needs to be a momentum builder for them. You know, I'm sure the lads will be hyped after their game victory going into this one with plenty of game tape. So, yeah, I'm going to go with an Eagles victory. I'm going to say that the Jets do score. So I'm going to go with 28-7 as my score.
Alex, what way are you seeing this one going?
Yeah, I'm going to go Eagles 40, Jets 14.
Darrett?
Yeah, thinking something similar to Alex's side of things. Was it the Vipers put 44 in the end? I think it could be like that. I don't like calling out 50 burgers on teams, but unfortunately, I think it could be. It could be a 50 to 16 game.
We'll move on to the third game of the Division 1 slate, the Razorbacks against the Giants. I would argue probably one of the closer matchups and one of the more interesting ones, Rain. If the Razorbacks can win, and we haven't seen them again, a team we haven't seen for a while, a little bit of an up and down season, a very strong win to start, and then they've obviously lost their second and third game after that. But a win, obviously, with the Rhinos not playing would bring them at least tied with the Rhinos through 4 games. So certainly not out of this playoff run by any stretch of the imagination. And then for the Giants, not at all where anyone saw them, but as each week goes by, they justify it a little bit more and a little bit more. Tough loss against the Rhinos. But some things, I think, as Dara said, that they can probably take away from that game and feel pretty positive about. Give us your thoughts on where the where the important part of this matchup is going to be and what both teams are going to be looking to get out of this game.
Well, this game in my own head is a must win for the Razorbacks, simply based on the fact that, well, I'm going to play my hand here a little bit. I have been more critical of the whole Razorbacks kind of experiment than most in the league. I think this is the game that they really need to set forward, that they are actually a D1 contender. Now, this is no slight on the Giants, but they did come up from D1. The Giants have been playing exceptionally well for that standard, but you would expect the Razorbacks to be beyond where the Giants are at this point, given their previous experience in Division 1. So for me, it is a crucial must-win game for the Razorbacks to prove that there is some method in the madness of promoting the Razorbacks a season or maybe 2 seasons early to Division 1. The Giants, I think they'll be buoyed with confidence, coming off a game where they've scored 60 points and then gone into a game where everybody had them as underdogs and coming out as just a 1-score loser. They're going to feel good about themselves and they're going to really want to look to take this scalp. And I think they have a chance.
Yeah, Alex, a sense here, I guess, that the Giants are playing a little bit with house money on 5 points already. It would kind of even with a loss, they'd still be up in that kind of top tier or top half of Division 1. How do you see this one going? Is it, as you say, do you see it the same way? Is there a lot of pressure on this Razorbacks team? And if the Giants go ahead and score first, which they've managed to do a couple of times already this season, how do you see the Razorbacks responding, and how important will it be to make sure that they control this game early and really stamp their authority and their credentials as Division 1 stalwarts as they want to be known.
Yeah, I would agree with Rian that there's a lot of pressure on the Razorbacks. They gotta cut out the mistakes that sort of cost them against the Eagles. You know, the other team came up from Division 2 there. They got to cut out those mistakes and really put some offense on the board. I think both teams need to put some offense on show here because they both put up, big beatdowns on the Jets. But outside of that game, the Giants, I think, have 18 points across their 3 other games, and the Razorbacks don't have much either. So I really really interested to see how both offenses perform. That'll really tell us more where these sides are going. I mean, if the Razorbacks win, but it's, maybe a 6-0 game or a 7-6 game, something like that, it's not, I don't think anyone's going to be as impressed as we would if they come out and, score something like, in the 20s or 30s, even regardless of what the Giants score. You want to see the Razorbacks put out some offensive output, so it kind of proves to us that they can score against teams. They still have a chance to push their way up the table and make a playoff push. And for the Giants, it's the same. You want to see offense out of the Giants as well. As I said, they've only really both managed to put it up against the Jets. They got to get the ball moving. A win here would be huge for them. A win here and they stay. They're going to stay at least in second or third, given that they've got that draw as well. So a win would be massive for them here, and they're definitely going to want to prove that they're not just a defensive team that can stifle other teams, but they can actually put some scores down, and they can, grab some of these upset victories that they were close with last week, but just slipped away.
Yeah, Dara, just to finish up, the Vipers obviously at the moment on 3 points, as Alex said, not a bad tally. A win would bump them up, but they're in that kind of echelon slightly below the Rhinos. And I guess I'm going to ask you a really tough question here that you can definitely avoid, and we'll bump it to Rian if you want. But do you see the Vipers as legitimate playoff contenders at this point in the season, given...
Did we not finish our
right?
Giants talk?
Razorbacks. We're talking Razorbacks.
Oh, sorry.
You've jumped on to the end.
Yeah. I'm looking at the wrong one. Yeah. The Razorbacks. Do you see the Razorbacks as legitimate playoff contenders? Or is it too little too late for them already, having only played 3 games?
I think it's a little early saying playing only 3 games. I just had a look at their run after this game against the Giants. So after the game against the Giants, they have the Rhinos away, the Mavs at home, the Cowboys away. They still have to play the Vipers away as well. And I think there's another game. I think the Crusaders they have to play as well. I think they're playing the Crusaders twice this year. I have to double check that. So it's a very tough run after this game. So this is sneakily a must win if their playoff aspirations are legitimate this year. I think if you lose this game, you're hovering over that panic button. It's not helping the Razorbacks that they are, after losing a very important player in their offense, or rumored to have lost a player in their offense, that has played very well for them the last few years. The Giants side of things, like that, the Giants are tough. They're hard hitting. Their defense flies around after the ball. If their offense they get their offense back on track to what it was like against the Jets, I think that they can go to New Forge, and I think they can get a win. And doing that, getting up to 7 points, it's going to be tough for a lot of the other teams chasing those 4 spots to catch up with them if they do it. Yeah,
do you want to give us a prediction here while we're on it, and we'll go around this last game? And
sorry, prediction for this. Sorry about that. Ooh, tough one. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Giants. I'm going to go with the Giants. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm going to say they'll win. They don't really kick either, do they? So I'm going to go.
Kicks.
Nobody kicks. I'm going to go
Except the rhinos and babies.
Yeah, I'm going to go 16-10 to. No, can that happen? Yeah, I guess. Do the Razorbacks kick? No, they don't. 16-12.
5 safeties.
Yeah.
To which side?
That's all I need.
Did I miss that?
All I need is 5 safeties.
Did he just float a score and not say who it was going to go to?
So I said the Giants.
The Giants.
Yeah,
okay, great. Ryan, how do you see it going?
I see it as the worst sister kisser imaginable. It's going to be 6-6.
And Alex, how do you see this one?
Yeah,
going?
we've already had way too many draws. Might as well throw one more in.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have a little bit more faith in both offenses, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be 24-18 to the Razorbacks.
Okay, and we'll move on to our final game in Division 1 and indeed of the weekend. Mavericks against Vipers. Alex, we'll start with you. You mentioned against the previous game of the Cowboys, a little bit disappointed, maybe a slow start. Didn't aid in the final run to try and win that game. I guess the emphasis for the Mavericks this weekend will be to start early, put the game to bed quickly, and then maybe get to kind of polishing up some other stuff as the game goes on. Maybe get some reps in for players around the place.
Yeah, look, we wanna start quickly. We've got back-to-back game weeks now. We play the Crusaders next weekend as well, so we want to get in there and get the business done and really have the offense clicking and just in rhythm, in flow, so we can we definitely saw that at times against the Cowboys. It just took a little bit longer to start with that long layoff we had. So we're hoping now we'll be in a bit of rhythm. We can put up some scores, and on defense we can keep them out and have it a good clean game for us, mistake free, injury free. And we just want to take that W and get focusing on the rest of the season.
Yeah, Dara, how's your upset watch going? Do you think there's much of a cause for concern in terms of Vipers putting an upset on the Mavericks here? I think it's fair to say that, given the points of both teams.
Yeah, the upset watches seems to be broken at the moment. Look, the Vipers, I know they had a very, very good win against the Jets. They scored almost, I think, all of their points, apart from the 2-point conversions. A few 2 points were all done on the ground. I think their QB had 8 completions in the game. Look, if you're doing the damage on the ground, keep going at it. There's no, I'm not going after what they did, but if you want to have a chance to beat the Mavericks, you're gonna have to both pass the ball well and run the ball well. So that's going to be tough, especially against this Mavericks side. I think that it was a worst case scenario for the Vipers that they lost that the Mavs lost the last game in such a tough fashion against the Cowboys. They're going to want to make things right, and unfortunately they're going to take out on the Vipers in this game. For the Vipers, the aim is to just try keep it as close as you can for as long as you can. See if you can get a few scores on the board. But at the end of it, I by the fourth quarter, at the latest, the start of the fourth quarter, the latest, I would imagine that the Mavericks are going to pull away and have a couple of score victories.
Ryan, I guess, is it fair to ask the same question we asked the Razorbacks? Should we be kind of penciling the Vipers into the Shield tournament now at this point, or do you still see them with a legitimate chance at making the playoffs?
I think the Vipers will themselves admit to the fact that they're in a little bit of a rebuild at the moment. I don't think they were ever expecting a playoff run, even coming into the season, and now more so than ever. But it's going to be for them about getting wins here and there. This particular game is going to be about little victories. I can't see them doing much damage versus what is an exceptional Loud Mavericks team. So yeah, I think they'll be happy enough if they make that Shield tournament. Maybe try and upset somebody in there. But I think they'll admit themselves that the playoffs were never really a goal at the start of the season.
Well, as we wrap up the show, Alex, we're presuming that we're going to absolve you of having to make a prediction in this game. So I'll go to Dara. How do you see this game going? And give us a scoreline, please.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I can't see anything but a Mavs victory in this game. I'm going to go... Tough one. I'm going to go 37-7.
And Ryan for the final time tonight?
I am going to go with the Mavericks, of course. The Vipers have struggled to move the football against decent defenses. I can't see them doing it very much against the Mavericks, so I'm going to go with 42-0 in this one.
Okay.
Also, I actually want to change the Vipers one because the Vipers don't kick. Also, 37-6.
Dara just loves to mention this in every game. They don't kick.
We send kickers to the NFL. We don't kick in our own league. I don't get it. Right? I don't get it.
Anyway, that concludes all the games we have on the slate for week 9. Guys, if you're listening, you can find this audio version of this podcast under Center Podcast, wherever you find your podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, all the rest of them. Please do join in on the conversation. Give us a like, a follow, comment. Let us know your thoughts on X, Instagram, and on YouTube. We're at Under Center Pod. Guys, thanks a million for joining me this week.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
And to everybody else, stay safe, and we'll see you next week for week 9's recap.
Peace.